McGregor versus Poirier 3 is all set for UFC 264. Every punch, kick, and knockout means so much more with the DraftKings lineup on the line. DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the UFC, is giving you a shot at huge cash prizes. For this weekend's fight, DraftKings is offering all customers a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. If you haven't tried it yet, Fantasy MMA is easy to play. Just pick 6 fighters, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for advanced takedowns and more. There is no better way to put your MMA knowledge to the test than to compete for shots at millions of dollars in total prizes. Plus, don't forget about basketball and hockey and baseball, where DraftKings has even more money up for grabs throughout the week. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. It's McGregor versus Poirier rubber match. Get in on the action now. Download the DraftKings app and use promo code THPN for your shot at millions of dollars in total prizes throughout the week. That's promo code THPN to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Only at DraftKings.com. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You are now tuned in to the Windy City Benders podcast. This is WCBP.
All right, it's another edition of the WCB podcast presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. We're back after, we'll call it a little bit of a 4th of July vacation. Coming at you a little bit later than normal, but, you know, it works out. The cup has been handed out. Got some more stuff to talk about. Little off-season preview, maybe. I don't know. What are you thinking, Tanner?
Yeah, tons of shit. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, so we'll get going. Some big things came out of Chicago last week. Of course, after we record, just how it always works. But which one? We'll start with Toews.
Yeah.
So for the first time in over a year, Jonathan Toews spoke with the media. I don't even say he was speaking with the media. He released a video on the Blackhawks. No, it was his Twitter account.
Yes. It was his personal.
Yeah, basically talking about what was going on within the last year. Showed him on the ice, which first off, seeing him on the ice again, if that didn't get you going, I don't know what will. It was great seeing him skating, even if it was just like, you know, a little puck around, sick and puck type of style skating. But ended up saying that what he was dealing with the past year was a chronic immune response syndrome. So let me read the quote that I have here, basically talking this quote about it. So what they're calling it is a chronic immune response syndrome, where I couldn't quite recover and my immune system was just reacting to everything. Any kind of stress, anything that I would do throughout the day, it was always that kind of a stress response. So it took some time. That was really frustrating part, not knowing when or how I was going to get over the hump. So first got to say is that's great news compared to the rumors that were floating out there about what it could possibly be.
Yeah.
It's very treatable kind of thing. It's just kind of, you got to kind of just deal with it.
Really glad it's only like a season that was lost and not the rest of the career
or his life. Like, could have been.
Yeah. I didn't even think that hard. Jesus. God damn, man.
So yeah, there was going that. He did say that he has all intentions of playing next season for the Hawks, which will be a huge addition. Getting the captain back in the lineup. There was one thing that he ended up doing a little interview with Laz on the Athletic, and there was one thing that was kind of taken out of there that I thought was kind of really interesting, and he kind of put some answers to what some fans had questions about, kind of regarding the last game against Vegas in the playoffs in the bubble. He didn't see the ice for the last 82 seconds of the game, and everybody's kind of wondering what was going on. Everybody was kind of blaming Colleton, that he didn't know what he was doing by not putting Toews out there. And he really said said it to Laz was, I actually thanked him for taking the flack in that situation because he was criticized for not having me out there. When the truth was I was sitting there just staring at the ground on the bench with no desire or no real ability to move my back. He had my back there and I was toast. That right there too. I know there's still a lot of Colleton haters, but I mean, that's a player's coach.
Yeah, man.
He's stepping up for the players, and he's taking the worst of it so that the captain, Jonathan Toews, I think he would do it for any of his players, though, that they can not have to deal with having to explain themselves, and especially in a situation like this for Toews.
Yeah, it just with the whole way the last year went down too, and for him to have that like the chronic immune disease, or what was it? I keep forgetting.
Immune response syndrome.
Yeah, and like with the way that the NHL is always so hush hush about like upper body injury, that's what it was basically. Like, so basically upper body injury in the NHL, but it's just always speculation, and it's tough because of like what we all went through in the past year, and like everybody thinks it's COVID, and then everybody thinks it's something else. Everyone wants to be the one to be right on what's going on, and it's just like really glad he was able to just kind of be left alone to like get himself back in order.
If I'm remembering correctly, didn't he say he did have COVID?
Yeah.
And he was very cautious about throwing that out there because he didn't want it to just get lumped in to, people just assuming like, it's just the COVID or the kind of thing like that. And I can't remember exactly what his wording on that was, but it was great. It was great hearing from him. It was great seeing him on the ice. He didn't owe that to anybody. He didn't have to do that. If he came back next year with not even acknowledging what happened, like he came back like he didn't have missed a beat, I would have been fine with that. It's his right. But yeah, so it's great to see the captain back, edition by edition. Let's go.
Yeah, I think the timing of it is very like yeah, okay. I mean, clearly it's not just like an announcement that he's coming back. Like it was a whole edited video with like clips from him on the ice and like doing all sorts of other things. And it's like, I wonder how long maybe the Hawks had been just kind of holding that in their pocket because of all the bad news that's been coming out lately. To be like,
that is so shitty. If that's
got, I mean, there's no way that like they literally had to have this footage already. Like this wasn't just made that day and it was like, hey, like I'm feeling great. This was me on the ice an hour ago. Like this is me in the weight room, like feeling better. And like, it's just like, all right, I think we're at the lowest point right now. Let's fucking hit him with the captain's coming back shit. And then we'll be okay. Like we'll deflect now.
It's such a Stan Bowman move to do that kind of thing too. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't like you always blame everything on Stan Bowman, but I'm just like, it's just a huge PR thing. Like that's the whole deal of it. And like whoever's making the decisions, whether it is Bowman or not, it's just I just think it's the timing of it is very like, okay, we got to put this out now because there's a lot of bad shit going on right now. And it's like, okay, like I'm really glad Toews is coming back and like we get that great news, but it's like, let's not forget about all the allegations that are going on.
I wonder if too, like you said, how long are they sitting on this? Yeah. Do you think like once it started like leaking out that all these allegations were coming out that they were like, hey Toews, how you feeling?
Yeah.
Do you mind making a video? I know you were just gonna talk to press and all that, but do you think you can make this like really like awesome video? Like, we'll hook you up with Blackhawk TV and
we got some clips. We got some clips of you on the ice. You mind? We'll sit you down in front of a camera and you'll give a little statement about how you're coming back. He's like, yeah, anything for the boys, anything for the team.
So he also, since we're kind of talking about the allegations and all that.
That's true. Yes, I know where you're going.
Yeah, in the last article, he mentioned that people saying that everybody knew about this. He says that that's not true. He said that if people knew about it, it didn't get around to everybody until later on. He said that he personally didn't hear about it until training camp the following season was when it was truly brought to light to him. So it's really interesting, and you have to start taking all that kind of stuff with a grain of salt when people start talking about when they knew something or this happened there or this is who it is or blah blah blah. You got to take that all with a grain of salt. you guys look at one of the people that's talking about knowing everybody knew about it and they know everything about it was also the same person that was saying that Toews had ALS.
Yeah.
Like it's you can't, as much as everybody wants to know what happened, when it happened, on when does everybody know about this, blah, blah, blah. You got to let it play out. Like you have to let this investigation do its job.
Which, yeah, I mean, since there's outside investigators, like it's gonna come out no matter what on like what really happened, and that at that point we can actually talk about it, and it's no longer like he said this, he said that, like this is what happened, this is what happened.
I definitely lean. I don't know, it's just my bias because I'm such a Toews guy, but I definitely believe him. I don't think he would put himself in a situation where it's like he's lying about something like that. I think like if he didn't know up until that point where he's saying he knew, I can believe that. I mean, he's a guy that was a core member of that, and if a core guy of that team didn't hear something like that or says he didn't know them, you got to kind of believe it.
Maybe. I'd like to believe that, but I mean, personally, I don't know him at all.
Right. And that's what I said.
I just idolize him as being a great captain on the team. Exactly. And I just take that as like who he is as a person, which I usually tend to believe is like a great representation of somebody. Like you can tell, like we always say, like the nicest guys on like off the ice end up being the fucking goons on the ice.
Right.
So like you want to believe that they're like the greatest people, but like not everybody is. And I'm not saying that Toews isn't. I'm just saying, like, I'd like to believe that that's completely true.
Yeah. I know from my personal experience dealing with, like, being around Toews and all that, I think he's a genuine guy. I think he's one of the few people that you can say, like, oh, he's such an amazing person on the ice and all that kind of stuff and a great leader and all that. I think he's one you can chalk up as who he is on the ice is who he's off the ice and all that. But, no, like you said, I totally agree with you. Said you don't always know these people. We just know them as these amazing guys that we watch and idolize as for their hockey ability. So
call them by their first name every once in a while because you believe you're friends, but you don't really know each other.
Exactly.
Only when you're mad. Like you miss on a breakaway. Come on, Jonathan.
But so you're talking about your favorite meme about like the what was it?
No, it's the the Flex Seal meme of the big tank of water leaking out, and it's the sexual allegations, and then the next shot is the Flex Seal guy with the Flex Seal in his hand slapping the cover on it. It just says Jonathan Toews is coming back. It's just and what's so fucking good.
Funnier about that though is as soon as that happens, they think things are good right now. The Flex Seal starts coming off a little bit, starts leaking again. Because literally, I think the same day Toews talked about, coming back and all that, Elliot Friedman tweets out that there's rumblings that the Chicago Blackhawks and Duncan Keiths are working on a trade out of Chicago. And this just sent everybody in Chicago like an emotional roller coaster, like sexual allegation. Oh no, Jonathan Toews coming back. Oh no, Duncan Keiths leaving. Up and down, up and down.
Oh, dude, I went down on sexual allegations, up Jonathan Toews is coming back, and then I just stayed there. I was like, hey, I'm okay with moving on from Keith because as much as I believe like he should retire here, I still think it's better at this point to get his 5 point whatever cap off the books, 5.5 off the books at 37 years old.
He'll be 38. He'll be 38 either this month or in August. He'll be 38.
With all of the experience all the young blue liners that we have that need to get this ice time that he keeps to him, they keep giving to him. And it's just like, if we can get a 4th rounder, like great. If we don't have to retain any of the cap, even better.
Okay. So first we'll get into that in a second. So basically, he wants saying he wants to leave and all that kind of stuff is kind of not doing justice for the actual situation. He wants to move closer to where his son is.
Right.
He wants this last year. It was said it was really hard on him because he didn't get to see his son at all, if at all.
Yeah, because his son is in Canada.
Yeah, so the restrictions and all that kind of stuff, and
Yeah, he
the
wasn't
no
able to go to
travel.
Canada, and the kid's
So
not able to leave.
it was tough. It was saying that he wants to basically go to Western Canada or the Pacific Northwest. So automatically, there's two teams that come to mind with that is Vancouver and Seattle. Edmonton's getting tossed in there. Right now, they're looking as the favorite.
Yeah, they're the front runners. And honestly, I think Edmonton makes them kind of the most sense.
They do and they don't.
Yes, both ways.
It makes sense because they're a team that needs the defense, and he is a guy that can.
They need leadership like crazy.
Yeah, that can come in and mentor some of their younger guys that can come up. It's like Edmonton sees him for what he really is. He's not a top guy anymore. He is a second or third pairing defenseman who can come in, teach the kids, younger guys, what they need to know to get them, evaluate them to their Nets level. I know I said Ethan Bear learning from Duncan Keiths would be unreal.
Yeah.
You said he might be selected in the expansion draft.
I think that they're looking at protecting him now.
Oh, okay. So I mean, dude, Edmonton, if they can get Ethan,
that's one of the things that like they're holding off on this trade now too, is because of the expansion draft. Because I mean, if they trade for Duncan Keiths, then it's like now that's a spot that they can't use to protect somebody. And I think they're looking at like Darnell Nurse, Ethan Bear, and Adam Larson. Oh shit. Is there is there like a exempt list or anything that they have on like Cap Friendly or anything like that?
I think they do. I don't remember where it's at.
Damn, I wish I could remember because I thought that there was somewhere some sort of expansion, like who's protected, who needs to be protected, whatever. But yeah, that's the whole thing. I think honestly, like if the Hawks were able to get Keith to just even waive his no move clause and then leave him unprotected. And then if Seattle wants to take him, like cool, but I don't know if they really would.
Well, right now the two front runners are the Oilers and Seattle. They're the 1-2. Vancouver was talked about, but it doesn't really make sense for their cap situation.
Right.
And
they're really good at taking bad contracts, though.
And they have to worry about signing a lot of big guys.
Unless like the only thing that would make sense for Vancouver would be a trade of like a bad or like one of their bad contracts for Duncan Keiths. And then they might even have to add though too.
Vancouver would have to sweeten the pot.
Like if we took on like the last year of like Louis Eriksson at 4.875.
They have to re-sign. They have to think about a contract for.
They need Quinn Hughes to get they needed to give him a contract. Like that's the big one, I think.
Yeah. And then Brock is up next year.
Oh yeah.
And it's tough too, because it's like you have to almost only plan for next season because you still don't know when the cap's going up. So it's like you're gonna
well, not if you're Minnesota. You just go 8-year deals, Joel Eriksson.
Stupid. Like that was a good deal though for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, Vancouver doesn't really make too much sense. Calgary, I heard, has no interest in him.
Yeah, if you're Calgary, I don't see why.
Yeah. Winnipeg, people kind of connected him to Winnipeg just because that's where he's from. He's from that area. But
Winnipeg's not really considered like Western Canada, but everybody's like, yeah. I forgot what I saw it online, but they're like, yeah. Every time Western Canada gets brought up, Winnipeg's like, oh yeah, us.
Yeah,
yeah, we're part of that, right?
It wouldn't make sense there, and I don't know. I can't see the Hawks trade him to Winnipeg. So it really comes down to Edmonton and Seattle.
Yeah.
NHL insider Brian Lawton was talking with the Oilers podcast or like Oilers account. Didn't look too much into it, but he says basically the Hawks, to make this deal happen, they're going to need to either retain between 30 and 50% of Keith's salary.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they need to either retain and or take on James Neal's contract.
Fuck that.
I would rather them expose him in the draft and the expansion draft, and we get nothing.
Well, I mean, there's not even a guarantee that he would get taken by Seattle in the expansion draft.
Exactly.
The other thing too was like Duncan Keith and on his contract, the real dollars that he's owed is only $3.6 million over the next 2 years, even though he's got a 5.5 like cap hit. That sounds a lot like Ottawa territory. They love those, but I don't think Ottawa needs anything like
even
that.
Think about fucking Ottawa.
Ottawa's not Western Canada. That's why it's not brought up.
I'm thinking of all the Canadian teams, and Ottawa doesn't even come to my mind.
Oh yeah,
God,
the forgotten Canadian team.
And like Toronto, just no.
Yeah, Toronto would never be able to fit that cap. We'd have to that would have to be like a 4-team deal of everybody taking 50% off of Keith's deal in order for Toronto to get him at like $800,000.
All 31 teams would have to take on at least 50% of Keith's contract. So essentially, Keith is getting paid by every single team in the league for it to work on Toronto.
That'd be hilarious. I don't know. They'd have to give up everything. Yeah. I think him going to Edmonton makes the most sense. If like somehow maybe they work out a deal with Seattle to take him, because I don't know. Like if I'm Seattle, I wouldn't really go with Keith as the expansion draft pick.
I could see them going for Keith just to have like that same reason Edmonton would need that leadership. I don't think that it's a bad idea to have that. Everybody's trying to talk about like, oh, this old player or this bad contract for Seattle. They can't come do that completely for every team, but I can see Seattle. I don't see it being a bad move for Seattle to take Keith. It's a good leadership guy, good defenseman. You know, he knows how to win and all that kind of stuff. It would be a great start. And I think you also got to think about it, like the marketable side of it too. And he's a good guy to market around, like, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, last hurrah, kind of like trying to prove it that he can still play and hang in there kind of thing. Like it's not a bad storyline for Seattle to take him.
True. I mean, yeah, like I don't have a problem if they end up exposing him and we get nothing for it. What we get for it is $5.5 million in cap space that we can then turn into hopefully like a Seth Jones or a Dougie Hamilton. The Hawks are out on Eichel, which lame.
Are they officially out?
I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen any news about it lately.
Have you seen any Eichel news though?
No, but I mean,
that's going to change. I think we're going to start.
Well, what happened is recently the Hawks have come out and Bowman said that like DeBrincat and Doc are untouchable.
Good.
And so if it was going to be an Eichel deal, it would have Doc would have been the centerpiece. I mean, if there's still an Eichel deal at this point, it would be Lucas Reichel as like probably the centerpiece then. So I think that makes the most sense.
And that's like, do you take the chance and flip in a guy that could possibly be a great player for somebody who or like, I don't know, like damned if you do, damned if you don't, I think in that situation.
Yeah. Do you want to take on $10 million, which we could if we get rid of Keith? It all can work out, but I think that they're probably just done on the Eichel business. And once Keith moves, because like if he's requested a trade, I think he deserves to get that request like granted. He's been with the team for almost 20 years at this point.
Yeah,
And
he was drafted 2 years before Toronto's last playoff series win.
that's pretty great.
That is amazing. So what? Okay, so what would you? What kind of return would you want for Duncan Keith? If say he goes to Edmonton,
Cap space. That's it.
that's it. So
I
you
don't. I would
take like a
hopefully
7th round?
not take on how much. Wait, what does James Neal even have left?
I think it's like 5 something. I think it would almost be a wash.
No, I mean like how many years?
Oh,
He's got 5.75 like on a 2-year deal.
fuck that. They want to do that. They want to do that. Then they're gonna have to sweeten more. We're not moving a guy for a bigger cap hit.
Would we even use James Neal?
No, why? We don't need James Neal.
No.
We need.
They have 16 million in cap space, and they need to sign. I don't know, Dominic Cahoon is like a big one. I think they're not going to re-sign Tyson Barrie, but they need to re-sign Adam Larson.
Yeah, they're done with Tyson Barrie. I think they said that they're focusing on re-signing Adam Larson.
Yeah.
No, so we don't need James Neal. The Hawks need to move Keith's contract, get that cap space. Then they need to go after Seth Jones and or Dougie Hamilton and Zach Hyman, and then bringing Corey Perry in for the hosted style, what we talked about in our group chat.
Oh yeah, Corey Perry gets it 3rd year in a row, make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, and then actually win it.
Yeah.
Well, that means we'll have to play Tampa Bay though. He only plays Tampa Bay in the final.
Oh yeah. But
it'd be really funny if that's who Anaheim beat. like back when he won it the first time. He only plays Tampa Bay in the final.
Who did they beat? New Jersey?
They beat Ottawa.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
Ottawa.
back when, I think it was Hasek was on the team.
That was like his rookie year, right?
Hasek?
No.
Maybe.
It was really early on. Is it like 06?
It was something like that. No, because he was wasn't he in the 03 draft? Oh baby. Just getting all this stuff. I don't think they were.
It was 07.
They weren't. Yeah, it wasn't their rookie years. I don't think.
Oh, it was early on though.
They were young. They were the new guys on the block. But yeah, fun shit. Yeah, Keith, where do you want him to go? Edmonton or Seattle?
Oh, let's send him to Seattle. I'd like that. I think that'd be cool.
Honestly, I think he'd be more beneficial towards Edmonton.
Yeah. Just
leadership wise. But yeah, like you said, I think it would be cool to see him in Seattle though too.
And then worst comes to worst, you want to pick up a Seattle jersey, boom, Keith. There you go.
If you're a big Duncan Keith fan, you get that sweet new Seattle jersey with his name on it.
Be a nice excuse to get a Seattle jersey. Hey, former Hawk, why not? Let's do it.
I wonder who else. I can't wait to see that expansion draft.
It's gonna be so exciting. Well, yeah, anything else hot talk?
That's all I got.
Yeah, I think in the next couple episodes, we'll start kind of getting into we'll do a little draft preview and all that kind of stuff to see who possible guys that could fall around 11, what to do, the Hawks could do, and all that kind of stuff, what they're looking at. And I think we should start kind of maybe talk about, building a roster for next year, see free agents targets and all that kind of stuff.
Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Also real quick, now that Keith's probably going to be out, who are the guaranteed alternate captains?
Ooh.
Because Toews is coming back, so you don't need 3 A's or 4 A's. I don't even know what they did
Toews,
last
Kane,
year.
DeBrincat.
Huh?
Toews, Kane, DeBrincat.
You think that's what it is? Not going to be Toews, Kane, Murphy?
Well, he might not be there.
You don't think Murphy's going to be there?
If Keith gets traded to Edmonton, I don't know. I think Murphy. It depends on how they do the protection for the expansion draft. I think if Murphy's left exposed, he'll.
I don't think Murphy's going to be left exposed.
I know. I'm just saying though, because there's like those are the three. Names.
All right. It's going to be Toews, Kane, Seth Jones.
Toews, Kane, Eichel.
I mean, honestly, just make Eichel the captain. That'd be, Jesus, hilarious. Yeah, nothing else for the Hawks though now.
All right, well, we'll talk about the expansion draft real quick. We will know who's protected and who's not protected. July 17th at 4 p.m. Eastern time is the deadline for the teams to submit their protected list.
Oh boy, that's a little over a week away.
Yeah, so it's a day after 2 of Keith's birthday. So happy birthday, Keith, you're being exposed.
It's also I forgot about this. It's the time where, like when Vegas had it, when the players find out if they're protected or not, and the ones that get snubbed from being protected are fucking pissed at their team. It's like, oh man, you better hope that like they don't have a good season and then just be like, fuck you, I'm leaving.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, so a couple key dates right now. When this is out, the buyout period has officially started for teams. It was 24 hours after the cup was awarded, which we all know was awarded on Wednesday night. July 17th, like I said, is the protected deadline. July 21st is the expansion draft. July 22nd, the freeze on trades and waiver moves is lifted at 12 p.m. When does that freeze start? I'm assuming the 17th.
I don't know. I think you can trade at any time.
Well, no, because the expansion draft. So once like I think like you can't make trades or anything like that to fuck with your roster. So
okay.
I think so. There's going to probably be a fury of moves like trades and all that happening between now and the 16th or that 7th deadline to try to get their rosters all set.
For the expansion draft.
Yeah. So that Thursday is when you guys
and you'll hear about whatever moves that like are going to be made with Seattle too.
Yeah.
Future considerations.
And Seattle's allowed to make moves that entire time. Like they don't have the trade freeze. So that's the only
they don't have any like
right.
So teams are only allowed to trade with Seattle.
Correct.
Okay. They don't have like any players. So
right. So it's essentially them making moves about who to protect and who to take and all that kind of stuff.
You know, I completely forgot. Does Seattle have the 2nd overall pick? Yeah. Okay. So what if they just fucking trade the 2nd overall pick? Seattle comes in and just right away just makes a splash. Jack Eichel, you're coming to Seattle.
See, Buffalo goes 1-2.
Yeah. You get both guys from Michigan.
Well, okay. So real quick, I'm gonna run through the dates and then something else. First round of the draft, July 23rd. Monday, July 26th is the last day to submit qualifying offers to restricted free agents. The Hawks have 6 RFAs that will need contracts: Suter, Hagel, Gaudette, Camp, Nylander, and Zadorov. And then July 28th is when free agency opens. So yeah, a lot of fury coming up in the next couple weeks. But back to Buffalo, there's reports that Powers is leaning towards not going pro and playing at least one more year at Michigan.
Right, I said that before.
No, I know. So it's like it's becoming more like a reality that happening. Does that fuck with the draft? Does Buffalo pass on him? Do teams pass on him? Does he fall to 11 and the Hawks take him? And
does he fall to 11? No. I feel like he goes to meet with Buffalo, and they're like, "Yeah, we're thinking about taking you like 1st overall." He goes, "I'm thinking about playing college for another year, maybe 2, maybe 3." And they go, "All right, maybe we won't take you 1st overall." I was like, "All right, that's up to you guys." Seattle comes knocking. yeah, I mean, if you're available at 2, we'll take you. He's like, yeah, I'm thinking about making it to jump to the NHL right away. just fucking fuck you, Buffalo. Like,
Well,
no
it's
thanks.
funny that you say that too. But he says that Buffalo is one of the only teams that hasn't reached out to him yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought that I saw somewhere that they were meeting with him, or I heard it on like NHL on XM radio.
Maybe it changed in the last time when I saw that report.
It was like last night I heard it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, this was like end of last week. It was saying that Powers hasn't even talked to Buffalo yet, and he hasn't heard anything like when he possibly could.
That's funny. Way to go, Buffalo.
Yeah. So.
God.
Fucking.
I was gonna say when we were speaking about like trades and everything. There was a trade that happened during the Stanley Cup Finals, or final. I mean, Victor Arvidsson made his way over to LA for a second and third rounder, or a second rounder this year and a third rounder next year.
LA hosed them.
I think, yeah, they got a pretty good deal on that. Arvidsson, how long he's got 3 years left on his deal as well. It's like, that's not too shabby.
Good player.
Yeah. If LA ends up getting Eichel somehow, I just want to know where Eichel's going. That's really it. Like, I hype myself up into like being an Eichel guy just for the trade. Then I don't care anymore.
In 50 games this past year, he had 25 points. In 57 the previous year, he had 28 points. 58 games the year before that, 48 points. He has a hard time staying healthy.
Yeah. He's not that big of a guy, so I can see why.
So his top season was a tie for 16-17, 17-18 for 61 points. He's a Tanner 30 for 30 guy.
That's fucking right. Basically.
Yeah.
Except for the in 2018, 2019, he had 34 goals and 14 assists. It's like he just forgot to pass the puck that year. But I mean, LA, I feel like LA is like quietly doing a good job at making themselves better.
I think they're going to be a team that is going to sneak up on people next season. You also have, who did they draft last year? I always forget his name.
Quentin Byfield.
Yeah, Quentin Byfield. You got Alex Turcotte.
Yeah.
There.
I forgot they have Turcotte too.
Yeah, they're also being linked to Eichel. They're also being linked to Seth Jones. Like, if they can make some moves, they have 14 million projected space as of right now.
They're also locked into Drew Doughty for,
and they only have 3 guys they need to re-sign that are RFAs.
In their RFAs, yeah. So they can basically return with the same team.
Yeah.
And add. They don't even, honestly, like like Athanasiou, like he's that kind of player that's been just bounced around already, like so much. And he's only 26. Like, if they didn't want to sign him, that's even more cap space to go after whatever free agents they want this year too.
He's a guy that you could package in, a trade for Jones or something like that. Like, he would be a nice little add-on piece for it.
Jesus. Yeah, LA's like like I said, they're setting themselves up pretty good. They got a young team. Out of their forward core, majority of them are under 26. There's only 4 guys that are over the age of 26.
Kopitar, Dustin Brown.
Yeah, those are the only 2 guys over the age of 30 that bring their average age up of their forward core up like a lot, because they're 33 and 36, and that makes their forward core 25.8 like average age.
Dustin Brown's last year. This deal is this upcoming season. They got Kopitar 3 more years at $10 million.
Do you think they re-sign Dustin Brown next year, or do you think he's retiring?
Oh, if he resigns, it's got to be cheap.
Yeah.
He's a guy that too, like, there's certain guys that's like, I just can't picture them on somewhere else. Like,
right.
He's one of them. Like, I can't picture him playing anywhere else.
Going back to like Duncan Keiths, like it's going to be weird to see him wearing something else too.
It's funny the amount of times playing NHL and I would trade Keith to get that cap thing, and it's like you think I'd be used to like him in another jersey, but it's like weird.
That's because it's not real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what one of the things I was talking about is like I saw online too. Like people didn't understand that you can always make trades like throughout the year, and it's like, what's the trade deadline? Well, the trade deadline is the last day you can trade players, and then they'll still be eligible for the playoffs.
Right.
You can completely, if you wanted to, make trades after the trade deadline. It's just whoever you acquire is no longer available for the playoff run that you have.
Correct.
And then trade rumors about Tarasenko.
Yes.
As well. That's something that I didn't write down and just thought of.
Yeah, same here. So he is reportedly demanded a trade out of St. Louis because he's unhappy with how the organization handled his 2 surgeries of his shoulder surgery.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't really follow St. Louis news. So
I know he was out for issues, but yeah, it was because he's not happy how the team handled it. So he wants gone.
He's only 29 years old, 2 years left at 7.5. I mean, we know he's a good fucking player. It's just he hasn't really gotten to play many games the last like couple seasons.
Yeah, and the bubble and all that. Like he was having a decent year this year before he got hurt again.
Yeah, 14 points in 24 games. He came back, or he played playoffs, had 2 goals in 4 games. Like if you go back to like his last close to full year, which is 2018, 2019, he had 68 points in 76 games, 33 goals, 35 assists, and then 17 points in 26 playoff games. Like it's a player you fucking want on your team.
All right, so what's it going to take to get him to Chicago?
Way too much. There's no way that St. Louis would make a trade with Chicago, sending Tarasenko here.
And he has a full no trade clause, so he really is kind of fucking with St. Louis too, because they can go and try to just dump him off somewhere, and he can just be like, nope.
Yeah. Is it like he gets to demand like where he wants to go?
Think so, pretty much.
It's just like the modified no trade clauses are just like, like 10 teams that you can't send me to, but like he can. I think he has the same kind of deal with as Ekman Larson.
Oh no, okay, so no trade clause. He has to submit a 15-team no trade list.
Oh, okay. Are you sure?
Oh no, that might just be a Braden Shen thing.
That's just Braden Shen.
Yeah.
And his no trade clause doesn't start till 2025. Like Tarasenko it just says no trade clause. I wonder where he'll end up. That's another thing. What if him and Eichel end up in the same place?
I think it might be it, because I'm looking at Justin Falk and Torrey Krug, and they have the same thing for it saying like starting this date they must submit a 15-team no trade list. I think
is it just a 15 team? No, that's what the no trade clause is.
Yeah, I think a full no movement clause is you have complete say.
All right,
because that's what the Hawks give out, like a Halloween candy.
It's true. I'm looking at Bennington's no trade clause because that's a doozy. In 2024-25, player submits an 18-team no trade clause list. In 25-26, player submits a 14-team no trade clause list. In 26-27, player submits a 10-team no trade list. See, I think the no trade clauses are all like different.
Yeah, because I'm looking at I'm on the Hawks page, Siebes. So from 2016-2017 to 21-22, he has a full no movement clause. A modified no trade clause submits a 5-team trade list in 22-23, and then in 23-24 he would submit a 10-team trade list.
Yeah. See, when it says full no movement clause, it's like that's what Jonathan Toews has. His is just no move clause.
Yeah.
So that's why I think Tarasenko is legit like no trade clause. Like it's not like a a special like only a certain amount of teams and like everything like that. It's like no trade clause. Like he gets to veto any trade that they throw out that he doesn't like. That's what it seems like. That's what I'm getting from the old Cap Friendly website here.
That's yeah. There's probably here, no trade clause. Oh wait, no, that's how you sort it out. Never mind.
We're all learning together.
I would say there's got to be like an explanation somewhere, but yeah, if you know what the full details are, let us know. But so let's wrap this up with a little Stanley Cup talk.
Oh, did that happen recently?
Yeah, fucking snooze fest in my opinion. Tampa Bay wins 4-1.
Yeah, I mean,
the post game stuff was more entertaining to me, and after the cup was went.
I wish there was more drama during the games, like more back and forth. It was a lot of just like, oh, Tampa's up. Looks like they're gonna win.
The only time Montreal led the series was when they won. Like they scored the first goal, game 4. That was the first time they led the series.
Yeah,
and then after that, that was it. Like they won the game, but then nothing. Vasilevsky, 5th consecutive series, clinching game, shutout.
Not consecutive, or consecutive series, not consecutive game. That's what it was because he didn't get a shutout game 4.
Yeah, so last 5 series he's played in the clinching game, he's gotten a shutout.
Yeah, I bet their mayor's really happy that they won it on home ice.
Oh my god, could you like? I saw that and I'm like, this would like be the greatest mush of all time. Oh my god. Could you imagine like if they lost game 5, like she's probably like sitting there like, oh shit. Like,
I hope they lose game 6 so they go back on home ice game 7.
Doubles down. Oh
yeah. I would like that's the one thing it was missing from this series. It's like there's no like it wasn't really as exciting because there wasn't enough scoring. That's it. Like they want to like get scoring up, but like, I mean, it's usually exciting. It's just not when one team's going to win.
It felt very NBA-esque. Like,
yeah,
it was on paper. You knew who was going to win. It was just how fast were they going to win?
Yeah. I mean, watching Tampa Bay win as well was just like all the shots are from the outside. Like every Montreal shot is like coming from around or like non-danger areas.
Yeah, I know you disagree with me. I'm trying to think the last time like it was this boring of a final. Like I had zero interest in this. Like,
yeah, I think that's the other reason too. It was an Eastern Conference team versus an Eastern Conference team in the Stanley Cup final, which I thought would be like pretty cool, but it's probably the best team in the NHL versus the last team to make it to the playoffs.
You thought it was going to be good, and then they go and just get their dicks kicked in game 1, 5-1, and I was just like, oh, this is how it's going to go. And then it was 3-1 the next game, and 6-3 the game 3, and then it was like, all right, just fucking lose, let's end this.
Yeah.
But Pat Maroon comes a 3-time
back to back.
Yeah,
it's
unreal.
You know, just the total guy that deserves it.
Vasilevsky gets the Conn Smythe. Kucherov in the post-game news conference made it very clear that he was not happy that he didn't get the Vezina and that the NHL overlooks him.
That some guy in Vegas got it. He literally called Marc-Andre Fleury some guy in Vegas. And I was just like, yo, that's hilarious. Either he's hammered or he just doesn't give a shit about Marc-Andre Fleury.
If you haven't seen his press conference, it's 5 minutes. It's worth a watch. It's 5 questions. He is so goddamn funny, and people are so pissed off about him, calling him classless and such a disrespectful of the game. He talks about Montreal fans like, are you kidding me? Montreal fans celebrated last game like they won the Stanley Cup, like that was their cup. He's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Your final was last round. Like he just no holds bars going off shirtless, fucking down in a Bud Light. And as soon as he finished it, slides it off the camera and cracks open another one. At one point, some guy comes in. I think he wanted some champagne. He brings a bottle and there's a Bud Light on there. And he goes, no, that's not champagne. That's Bud Light. The guy walks away and he's like, number one bullshit right there. Number one bullshit.
That's why my favorite thing is like always the after the post game after you win the cup, and then seeing the highlights of like the parade of the guys being hammered.
Stamkos tweets out a picture this morning and he goes, you don't go to sleep when you go back to back. And it's like him with the cup. Like,
Jesus.
Like, God, I wish I could be a fly, like in the room for that. Like just to kind of just experience that hands-on. Like it also made me, I was talking at work about this today. Like it made me kind of miss the cup teams from the Hawks, like 2010, 2013, 2015. Like, it was so much fun just watching all that happen and seeing all like the news and reports and like and people's who encountered like at restaurants and stuff like that, like what was going on. It's Ovechkin, the summer of Ovi, was unreal. Like
where he was just drunk for like 3 months. It was hilarious.
Trying to get people's attention at the Nationals game while the game was going on, like not between periods. He's like doing stuff as like the
between periods
or innings. Yeah.
I wish that fucking LA didn't beat us in 2014 and we could have had a bunch of players be back-to-back champions.
That sucks.
Yeah. Could have been us, but you know, that's all right.
But congratulations on getting your full Stanley Cup finally, Tampa. No, you got your
I'm happy for Stamkos.
Yeah.
Because he was a much bigger part of this one.
Yeah.
And like that's gotta feel like very good for him because like even though he scored a goal like last year in the Stanley Cup Finals, that was like only on the ice for 6 minutes.
Yeah. He hits a shot, gets off the ice, and then he was done.
Yeah.
And you gotta think too, this might be his last hurrah with the team.
You think they move him?
I don't know. I mean, they're gonna
The team's got 17 players signed currently, and they're already $3.5 million over the cap.
They're gonna have to move somebody.
They're gonna have to move a lot of people.
Yeah,
it's gonna be like 2010 Blackhawks tear down. I hope so. Because like I don't want to be the only team that had to go through that shit. That's not fair.
And people bitching about them being 18 million over the cap. Enough of that.
Well, I'm just upset with, like, I understand that's how the rule works. I'm just upset with how the fact of, like, Kucherov was out the entire season and was completely fine game one of the playoffs. Like nothing was wrong with him. Yeah. Like, he could have come back during the season, but they held him out due to this fucking rule. Like, he should have been, like, screened by, like, an NHL doctor and, like, been cleared to play, and then they're fucked because they would have been over the cap. But no, they played with this fucking rule where they just kept him on LTIR and then was the literal best fucking forward on their team for the entire playoff run. Like,
that's definitely going to have to be addressed in the next CBA. I think they're going to have to do it. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? It's the rule. I mean, they play the rules the way they're written. I mean,
it's funny because it happened to them.
Yeah. I was about to say that too. Like, it's funny that in 2015, after that happened with Kane going down, and then the Hawks.
Kane had went down during the season.
Right.
Though. That's the thing that I don't have a problem with is like we lost Kane, and so then we were able to then bring somebody in because he was injured, and they said he would be back like for the playoffs. And it's like, okay, well, that sucks. We don't have him for the rest of the season. But this is like, oh, like Kucherov's just like, yeah, he's not going to be back until the playoffs. And it's like, he could have probably came back like fucking weeks before.
Yeah. Well, it's hilarious. Yeah. For the Hawks were 5 million over that offseason. Tampa Bay tried to get a vote on, changing that rule, got denied.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, all right, you know what? 5 million. We'll remember that.
And then hold off for 6 fucking years
and bust out 18 million. Oh my God. It's so fucking funny.
Yeah. And it's really funny too. because I didn't realize this, but I saw it online. If any like Toronto fans are like bitching about it too, it's like they apparently traded for Riley Nash knowing that he was on IR and that he would be back for the playoffs and they'd be over the cap. It's like they planned that one out.
It's how you do it. I mean, it's just the way it's done. Like,
It's so funny. Yeah, I just don't understand how like the cap is non-existent anymore in the playoffs. Like I don't get it.
yeah, see, and the same thing too. It's like kind of how you're going back talking about like, oh, the trade deadline. You have to make the trade, and the team needs to be on your roster. Player needs to be on your roster by this point. I understand, like,
Yeah.
Kucherov's on the roster, but you think you would have to play a game by a certain point.
Right. Like how can you miss the entire year and then come back for the playoffs? Like how do you like that should be one of the rules is like you have to play a minimum amount of games. Like I don't know. Isn't it like if you play a minimum amount of games during the regular season but aren't able to play in the playoffs and your team wins the cup, like you are still able to be put on the cup?
You have to play a certain amount of games. It's like a combination of like a certain amount of games in the regular season, a certain amount of playoff games, or at least one cup final game.
Yeah. It's like, fuck, man. Like, let's all just get like a really good player. Let's sign him for fucking 10 million and then just have him not play the entire season and then come and help out a team to win the cup.
I think what helped
like that's literally like we pick up Jack Eichel for whatever reason. We
his neck injury.
Have him
his neck injury that needs surgery.
You fucking have him sit out the entire year. You go after Seth Jones and you go after Dougie Hamilton in free agency. You get them to bolster the blue line. Jack Eichel comes back. We hopefully are in the playoffs because of that. And fucking now we're 10 million plus over the goddamn cap. Boom, Hawks win the fucking Stanley Cup.
I think what helps with Tampa Bay was that it was a shortened season. It was only like a 3-month season.
Yeah.
And the surgery Kuch needed was like 3-month recovery. So it was able to justify it better. I think if this was a full season, regular season, there's no way this gets pulled off. No way.
The team doctors say that the recovery time is until playoffs. That's all you got to say. Like there's no like oversight, it seems like, because the fact that, like I keep saying, he was 110% completely fine game one. It wasn't like lingering any pain or anything. Like you would assume somebody who like had surgery or whatever, like needed some time to work back in. It's like, nope.
Didn't he leave a game though early in the playoffs?
Probably after scoring 5 points. Are you fucking kidding me? Good for you guys. Way to go, Tampa.
Oh my God. I'm looking really quick just to see if there's like any like trade breaks or anything like that. Brendan Gallagher had his house robbed while the Canadians were in Tampa Bay for game 5.
They must be Toronto fans.
Insult to injury.
Yeah. And all right, well, that sucks.
Trying to think of anything.
What?
Oh, Kucherov. I'm just reading really quick. Kucherov's agent confirmed that he played with a fractured rib after getting cross-checked by Mayfield.
Oh, in the Islander series?
Yeah.
Okay.
So think about that. He played with the fractured rib. You know, come some slack.
It's all right. There's what, $90 million other dollars on that team to make it work. It's fine.
Yeah. So I think the last thing I kind of want you to bring up, and then we'll be done.
Yeah. Over the celebration of July 4th weekend, unfortunately, the NHL lost a player, Columbus goaltender Matiss Kivlenieks. There was reports of the next day of like coming out and a lot of just wrong rumor kind of stuff. Like people saying that he slipped getting out of a hot tub and hit his head, and that's what killed him. But the NHL, I think it was the NHL, or it might have been Columbus, or just like, because he was with his team. He was with his goalie coach, actually. And I think he was with Elvis Merzlikins put out a photo of like a couple hours prior of that they had taken. But it was during a fireworks celebration, and one of the fireworks had tilted down instead of firing into the air, and it fired into the crowd of people, but it unfortunately hit him directly in the chest when it exploded, causing a chest trauma, stopping his heart, I believe. Or no, it wasn't stopping his heart, because he went to the hospital and he was awake, and he told people to not get in the ambulance with him. He just to stay at the party, and then he passed away at the hospital. It's crazy.
That's
only 24 years old.
Yeah, and it's
undrafted, signed as a free agent in 2017. He during the World Cup, I don't know what it's called anymore because I never watch it. But during it's the World Cup, right? This past a month and a half ago, when Latvia beat Canada 2-0, he was the goaltender for that game, who got the shutout versus Canada.
I was kind of looking at the show on the Hockey Podcast Network that covers Columbus, and they're just talking about the potential that they saw, this team had a lot of plans for this guy, and he was being planned for, in the future of the club and the franchise and all that. And it's sad. It's really sad, especially so young and all that, and such the way too. It's absolutely terrible.
You never like to see anybody die at a young age, and especially if it's like somebody on your team that you like. It's like a brotherhood every time you enter a team. And I can't imagine what the Columbus Blue Jacket family, as in the players and their families and everybody tied to that organization, is feeling. Just everybody in the hockey world knows how much that shit sucks. And it's insane how that minor little thing can happen during a celebration. Yeah.
It's terrible, but all right. On that note, I think we're going to wrap it up. Such a bummer to end it that way. But yeah, so this is episode 143. Tanner, what do you want to call it?
Oh, congrats, Tampa. I don't know. Tampa. Oh yeah, dude. Fucking 2 Stanley Cup championships in a row, and a Super Bowl and a World Series appearance.
American League title, Super Bowl, and 2 Stanley Cup championships in 10 months.
It's crazy.
That's 10 months apart, they won their cups. That's
wasn't there the other thing too that I'm just remembering this now? Victor Hedman became the first player in NHL history to score a goal in all 12 months.
I remember. That's what I was trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about.
Dude, he's so good.
It's unreal. And that's a stat that will probably never be broken. He will be probably
hopefully
he will be
unless they start playing, I don't know, games all year round.
There has been talks about them changing the schedule a little bit, but I don't know how serious that was. But
yeah,
I want to try to avoid football season.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to start the season later.
Start later, go later, because then it's they feel more confident going up against MLB than they do.
How cool would it be to start the season January 1st with a Winter Classic?
That would be dope. That would be awesome.
Right? Except for, I don't know. December is a cool month to
do Winter Classics across do Winter Classics across the country.
Yeah.
Each division gets their own classic.
Sorry. I know NFL's going on right now, but we're all going to borrow your stadiums real quick.
Not baseball. You can do baseball stadiums.
Yeah, that's true.
But
yeah.
All right. So
congrats, Tampa.
All right. So as always, this is Jarom and Tanner. Make sure to follow us on social media at WCB Podcast. Follow us or subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Give us that 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Give us the 5 stars. Then you can complain about what you don't like about in the comments, but make sure to give 5 stars. help us boost up in the little rankings a little bit. Making way and still in Vietnam. We're making way in Finland now too.
Say your
So
VPNs.
let's go. Yeah. So for the boys, we'll see you on the next one.
All right. Love you, boys. Bye.